How's everybody today? Hope you all are having a great day. What I have here is a notebook, piece of paper. What I want to try to make is a paper airplane, a mod. So I kind of got the idea in my head how I'll do it. Not exactly sure on the modeling part for the model, but I got a pretty good idea for the Jbeam. So what we'll do is we'll go to our vehicles folder and we'll just make a new folder to start the mod. We need a folder to put it in. I'll just call it paper plane. Yeah, paper plane. Paper plane. There we go. So that's where we're going to export our image from our photo editor, which as you can see it's got a transparency background. So we'll export it as a PNG since I can't crop this to a power of 2 ratio. It's an odd resolution. Let's see here. Vehicles, paper plane. And we'll just call this paper.png. Yeah, I don't want any compression. Alright, so let's go into our vehicles folder. We have our image. We'll put an info file because you need an info file for a mod to work. This is what's going to tell it what the mod's name is. We'll call this paper plane, paper plane. We'll save it. We'll close all this stuff out because that's all probably going to be confusing. All that stuff on the screen. Alright, then we need a blank Jbeam. Now give me just a second because I keep forgetting to change this thing. I accidentally saved the one on my desktop and well, every time I load a new one I gotta remove all this stuff, and I keep forgetting to resave the file so that it's actually blank. And it's just here we go. This won't take a second. There we go. And I probably can close the gaps here better so we can see a little better. I hadn't figured out how to use thrusters yet. I mean, I have, but I don't know the new way of doing them. I have to figure that out. So for the time being, I'm going to turn this off, and I may use hydros. I don't know yet, but I'll leave this blank for now. But I'll put a little line to separate it so it's easier to see it. Alright, so now we'll put a blank Jbeam in here. If you look here, we put the name of the mod up here, and you put your name here. And we got slots, reference nodes, flex bodies, nodes, hydros, beams, and triangles. Now this video will be pretty simple, where we're only really going to talk about the very basics, so we don't really need to explain slots or hydros for this video, I don't believe. So we're going to save this, because what we got to do now is we got to make the mesh, which is in Blender for me. So we'll go into Blender, and I'll open up a Blender project that shows what the key presses that I am making are. So the only thing different is I selected the camera, the light, and the cube that's in a new Blender project and just deleted that. And I have this stuff here turned on so you can see down here what keys I'm pressing. Now it doesn't show you everything pressed. For example, if I hit Shift G, well, that showed that. If I hit G and I'm moving something and hit Z to go up axis, well, it's not going to show you the Z, but I don't have anything selected, so. But that's what I'm trying to say. It doesn't necessarily show you everything. Move, rotate, scale, object select are here. So I use hotkeys to move things rather than click on this. Tab switches from object to edit mode. We'll be going back and forth between the two. It's important to know which mode to be in depending on what you're doing to the thing. It's not very complicated. It really isn't. We're going to add a mesh plane, because this is going to be the, well, literally the plane, and it's a mesh plane. We're going to scale it roughly the size of that piece of paper. And what I mean is it's kind of rectangular, but something like that. I'll apply all transforms, and I'm going to give it a texture. So over here, name of the material, I'm going to name it paper plane. And the only thing we're going to concern ourselves with is the base color image. I'm going to open up that texture that I saved in the, or that image that I saved in the paper plane vehicle folder. And I will turn this on, viewport shading, so that I can see how my texture looks on the object, which I could just easily just rotate this around and just scale this thing rather than edit the UV coordinates for it. As long as the end result is the same, I don't care. So this is the basic sheet of paper. That'll be basically the plane. Now the black will be invisible and you won't see this. I think I'll go ahead and take this time to edit the UVs though. For some reason when you go to UV editor they decide you don't want to see the texture any longer. So just hold Z on the keyboard and just tell it show you material preview. I don't know why they did that. You would think if you're editing your UVs, you'd want to see what you're doing by default. So we're going to select basically this face here. Now a mesh plane shows you the same thing on both sides, so there's no point in doing the back side too, because what you do on the top will also be on the bottom. So what I'm going to do is just scale this so that it's more like this. See, you can scale. You can also move these little points if you want to move them. Now the more subdivisions you have in your object, the more faces you can have to actually edit something. For example, if I subdivide this, you see we get new faces. Each subdivision adds new vertices basically, and each vertice can be selected and moved. That's how you can adjust things, which that looks terrible. Textures they don't bend very well unless there's a lot of subdivisions. Now I don't want too many subdivisions, but we do need to fold this thing so that it is like a real paper airplane. So basically this end will come up to here, this will come up to here, where it is going to bend in the middle. That'll be the first step to get it to do that, and then we'll talk about the other step afterwards. Now the best way to bend this, well, I am thinking about it. Let me go to object mode. Remember, if you want to get this window off of here and go back where you can see everything, just hit the layout. And then here we can switch from object mode to edit mode. We just happen to be having the UV editor open. That's what brought this window open. Alright, so let me try this. These are modifiers you can add to an object. If I had a simple deform and I tell it to bend along this should be the x-axis, since the red is x, green is y, and z is blue. If I tell it to bend along the x, it should bend the object, but I was wrong. It is bending it, but not the way that I want it to. Yes, I realize that's twist and that is bend. Maybe restrictions. No, this isn't going to achieve what I want it to achieve. Alright, so this is how I'll do this. I thought that would do a simple deform, but no. Not with this, for whatever reason. So in edit mode, we're going to select vertex select. We're going to select the vertexes on the end here. We're going to move them up. Now you see it's starting to stretch the texture somewhat. That's okay. Just something kind of like that. And now we're going to scale along the Y axis. I hit Y on the keyboard to bring these together. Now if you're having trouble with this moving too quickly, just remember when you hit S to scale, the farther away you are from the object when you start to scale it, the slower it'll move it. So that's the first step, folding it that way. Now we need to I made a mistake. Before we can do that, we need to fold the corners over. They need to go like this. That corner needs to go to there, and that corner needs to fold to here so that it folds along there. Makes sense. So what I'll do is use this knife. I'll select that vertice and that vertice and then that vertice and hit enter on the keyboard. Now it needs to go up, over, and down. Let me see the best way I could do this. Let's see. Up 45, up. I'm holding control down so that it locks. And then I cheated. I couldn't figure out the best way to do it. I think that'll be okay. Now what we need to do is bend it along here. So let's see. Well, I'll have to manually do it like I did the other one. So we'll pick this point and trying to get this pretty straight. It's not too, kind of got the lines to follow along, so it's not too difficult to make it straight. Hit enter. I'll do the same on this side. Oops, I hit something. It's about right there. Hit enter. Now in edit mode. Oh, we're in edit mode with the selector. So you get off the knife or you'll keep making cuts. So these two will go up. Nope. All these will go up. I'll turn your X-ray on when you start having multiple layers on top of one another in case there's a node under a node if you're doing something like this. Now we'll save our Jbeam file. Save our Blender file so that it when we export the Jbeam, it'll go into the folder where the Blender file is saved. Oh. I'm going to change this to paper plane, and in the object properties, since I'm going to use this also as a Jbeam, I'm going to go ahead and name a prefix with a little letter A. Alright, now I'm going to move it up into the air. And I'm going to apply all transforms. Now I'm going to export the DAE of this, which the name of the mesh is paper plane, so export DAE. This will be also known as the flex body. It doesn't matter what you call the DAE when you save the file though. That's what it's going to be looking for. That save you some headache. It's easy to just copy this to your clipboard. That way when you go back to here and you paste it in your flex body, you don't accidentally misspell anything. Now it's mesh, it's paper plane. The group, you can decide whatever group you want to name it. Just know that if you tell this to be group A, and in the nodes they have to have a group, you would make the first one A if you got one object. If you got multiple objects, then it'd be different groups, but we just got the one airplane. So what we need are those nodes and the beams and the triangles that go to group A. And now we're going to get them is we're going to export this as a Jbeam. But first we need to go to edit mode, hit A to select all, face, triangulate faces, back to object mode. Now we can export Jbeam paper plane. Now it sent one file out, and where that went was where we saved our Blender file in paper plane. See, Jbeam exported. We'll open this up. We'll open this because this is our nodes we're looking for, our beams, and our triangles. Make life easier, we'll just move that to here. I can zoom out a bit, maybe you can make it easier to see. So here we got nodes, and they'll go right under where group A is. So we'll take all them. Don't worry about what it named the group. This thing don't matter. Alright, we're gonna move that to here. As we said, it's group A, it's gonna be group A. It don't matter what this wants to call the group. It just assumed based on what you saved your file as is what it's thought you were gonna name it. And look at me. Yeah, you might not have caught that, but I put that in the wrong place. I put it in the flex bodies. That's not where it goes. Nodes go to nodes. Beams start right here. This is the variables that affect the beams. A beam is just all a beam is a spring basically. It can expand and it can contract, and how much it can expand depends on how much spring it has, how much damping it has, whether or not it'll permanently deform or whether or not they can break. Anytime you see all caps FLT_MAX, that's basically the strongest it can be And if it does deform, because this number might be too low, for example, it will not permanently deform as long as that's maxed. But if you were to put a value here that says, alright, once you exceed 4,000 whatever measurement of force, newtons or whatever that is, then stay deformed. That's what basically is what that's going to say. And any number value here would say, okay, well, if you meet 2,000 Newton forces, then break. But we don't want to break it or permanently deform it, which paper airplanes do permanently deform. But let's just get the thing flying first, then we'll worry about that. Also, drag coefficient and triangles. We haven't got the triangles yet, but that's where we're going now. It needs to have more drag, air drag, since it is a paper plane. We'll start with 25 and see how that does. So these triangles go here. And this will already be in you'll get this Jbeam just how I started the video, where it was basically blank. So you can do whatever with it, whatever you like. Node weight. Well, paper's pretty light, so we're going to do like 1.1. Friction coefficient is how much it will slide, say on the ground. Paper is pretty slippery unless it's in a balled up form. If it's flat on the ground, it can blow very easily, like a dollar bill. Collision with the ground, true. Collision with itself, does itself intersect when it bends? And well, we're going to put true. We're going to see how that does. Fixed means any of these nodes are anchored in place. None of them are going to be anchored because we don't want it to be stuck anywhere. We're going to save it, and I guess we can take a screenshot of it. We can go into here and get a good viewing angle. And I'll turn them off, hit print screen. And my photo editor, I'll paste that. I'll crop it 2:1. This will be the icon that you see when you select the mod. I'll flatten the image and scale it so that it's just an even 1200 by 600. Export as, save as if you're in Photoshop. Default .png or .jpeg, whatever you prefer. But default is the spelling that it's going to be looking for. Now we load the game, we'll have a plane. Whether or not it flies, well, we'll have to see. I think it'll fall to the ground. That I think it will do. How well it behaves aerodynamically is likely not going to be good the first time we try this. Because even though paper bends in real life, it'll hold its form pretty good. In BeamNG, things have to have like hidden glue, hidden beams that act as helpers to hold things together. Kind of like putting a model together. You know how them little pieces kind of, sometimes they snap together, but for the most part you got to glue pieces to one another. Well, kind of how it is in here. I can kind of say as an example. Now I didn't make any reference nodes yet, so the camera will spawn in a crazy place, or this thing may spawn halfway across the world. There it is. I'll replace the current vehicle, and let's see, it became unstable. Oh, it's here. It just, as I said, it's halfway around the world, and it is not stable. So we hit Control N to see the node name. So this is where we got to make reference nodes. So we got to decide, well, how are we looking at this when it spawns? Well, how about like this? So to do this, we'll tell the reference node, which if you can see it is the one I'm choosing it to be, is A11. I'll move this to here so we can see what we're doing here. So reference node, that's like what the camera's pointing at, you could say. A11. What is behind A11? Well, if we go back here, what is directly behind A11 is AL10. And what is to the left of the reference node? Well, if A11 is there, then the closest thing would be I got two nodes too close together. It'll be hard to see. AR4. And what is above the reference node, which is A11? Well, that would be AR9. Now we'll save this. And when we hit Control R to reset it and hit the home key, it should straighten it out and spawn it correctly. We'll fix the texture in a minute. Let's get back to the world, because we are not on it. So we'll go back to here, hit F7, and let's unpause it. And then it basically exploded. So we have to reduce the spring amount, or the damping. Too much damping, it can explode if it isn't heavy enough, or not, or too much spring, it can explode if it's not heavy enough. But we're going to lower this, both of them, and hit Control R and unpause. Well, it went nose first. Try to grab one of these nodes. Now, let me turn off blur. I was trying to unfold it to see how it would look. Oh, almost forgot. I guess while we're at the materials, let's go ahead and tell it to be double-sided and anistrophic filtered. Oops. Oh, that is not. I got the wrong thing selected. Pick the vehicle. Double-sided. Anisotropic filtering and alpha clip. Alpha clip will remove the transparency. Save. Alright, let's see. It's probably not going to unfold exactly like a piece of paper because just the way mods, Jbeams and whatnot work, but it's still kind of cool. It does somewhat unfold and coming unraveled as it nose dives to the ground. Alright, so here's what we'll do. Pause it and restart or reset it. Where'd it go? Alright, so you see these nodes. This is where I said you gotta give it a little, it's gotta have a little help. So this thing is made up of beams, but you can see if you hit Control B, these are the springs. Now you can turn on different modes. It's hard to see over here. This is simple mode, but if you keep hitting Control B, it'll show you what's broken, which one's which none should be broken because we didn't tell it could break. But if we keep cycling through these modes, broken only, compression, extension. It's hard to see, but as it stretches, the lines get blue. As it contracts, well, they're not really going, I can't tell that they're going to red. They just look like they're invisible. They're not compressing, or if they are, I can't see. If you really want to check something like that, you'd have to probably go into hit escape, go to your vehicle config, go to debug, and tell it not to show you the mesh. Set mesh visibility 0. That way you can see these things as extension, which I guess they're not actually going to compress like this. You have to have pre-compression turned on where they naturally pull together to each other. So let's cycle through these. Let's see which ones we get. What is that? There's like 18 different. That's the one I'm looking for. That shows stresses on the thing. It shows stresses based on what's being stressed. We can hide the node names and reset it. And I'll put the mesh in debug so we can see it a little bit. I'm going to restart it. We'll do slow motion. Actually, we're going to need to see it better than that. Let's do it this way instead. Let's turn on vehicle config, debug. Let's just turn that off. Reset it. And this time hit Control T to see the triangles that make up the collision mesh. And you can see how your piece of paper is doing as a plane. Be right back. I'm going to reset it, and you can analyze it as it's falling to see what's giving where. And you'll know where to put your hidden glue. Hidden beams to hold it together better. Alright. Control N, see our node, so I think it's pretty clear that AL6 and AL16 need to have some help staying together. So we'll go down to beams here. Let's just do it like we're going to copy this to our clipboard because we're going to have different values for the beam we're about to create. So I'll copy this to my clipboard down here at the bottom. Right here. I'll paste it. Oh, and if anybody's wondering, none of this stuff has to be lined up in any exact place. They can that would matter, but something like that don't matter. Now you do that, and yeah, that messes it up, but it don't have to be. This is more like it looks neat kind of thing. So like I said, these will have different values. It may be enough just to make a simple extra beam. So you can do like me and just find one of the numbers like this to save time from having to copy it. Retype it, paste it here, and so like AL6, that's there. And we'll just change that one to AL16. Now we'll do the same thing up here where these two pieces come together. Now we got two different ones here because of the way the paper was folded. But usually when you make a plane, some of these, just because of natural friction, stay together anyway. We'll have to cheat. We'll have to make A7 to A15. If you run out of room, just hit enter. A7 to A15. Ones and L's look very similar in here. You know what? A 1, because it's got the little, if we get up very close, a 1 has the slanted top in here as well. Whereas the difference is an L in here has a flat top. In here, it's got a flat top, but it doesn't have the bottom part. So L's look like 1s. Yeah, make things a little complicated there. It's very easy to mistake an L for a 1. Just look for the slant on the top. If it's got a slant going diagonally, it's a 1. If it's straight across, like an upside down L, then it's an L. So A17 to A15. See how that's a L16? Yeah. And as you're typing, this will let you know what beams already exist. So if you know it's there and you don't see it pop up as you're typing it, then you likely see there's no AL5 in here, but you see it there, so you know it's just a little extra helper, kind of let you know that you are in fact putting the right thing in, but don't rely on it all the time. Oh, we're gonna put AR9 and AR13. Alright, we're going to save it. We're going to hit Control R. We're going to hit Home. Hit F7 again because I don't know where it was at. And now those should be connected, which I'd have to cycle through the beams again, which I guess I'll do that. I mean, there's like 20 different modes, so as you're cycling through, just keep your eye over here to when that all disappears. So this is just showing beams. As you can see, there is a connection now between there and there, there and there, and there and there. So I think maybe I should put one here as well. AR14, AR8. Someone may want to know, does it matter which one you put first? Since that's on the left, does that matter if it's on the left here or on the right? No, it don't. It don't matter, because you could look at them from either direction and it wouldn't matter. It just knows to connect the line from one to the other. Don't matter which one you put here first. Someone may ask, well, what if this also exists up here? Then it'll make 2 lines, a double line. And it'll probably tell you, if you were to hit the thing, that there is probably a duplicate beam. The old exporter, the old Jbeam exporter before Tony Tony, you know, the guy that makes motorcycles, before he fixed the exporter, it exported a lot of duplicate beams, but he fixed it. So luckily now we don't have to worry about that when using the exporter. But if you used it a long time ago and you're familiar with those errors, then be rest assured they are corrected now. They do not do that, thanks to Tony. I have the link in one of my posts. I guess I'll probably put it in this video too. I try to remember to put that in all videos, so if I'm making a tutorial and you know, you'll get what I'm talking about in a video, you'll have the same files. Alright, that's kind of hard to see, but yeah, there is one connecting there. Let's see what it does. Alright, something else has become clear to me. It needs some horizontal supports in addition to what's already here. We're going to connect AL10 with a beam connecting all the way to the tip here, which is AR12. AR12 to AL10. Oh, also, I didn't even mention, when you make it Jbeams, whether you export it from Blender or you manually type all the locations for them all to be, up here in the nodes, where every single vertice / node has its X, Y, and Z coordinate. Yeah, I did mention it. Each one has a node weight. When you hit Control N to cycle through nodes, you can see the material type, which this is cloth, which, my understanding, all these do metal, plastic, cloth, whatever. It's just sound it makes when it crumples up. Maybe it's got some other dynamics, I don't know, but for the most part, that's all I can tell it does is add the sound. If you don't want something to make any sound when it's breaking and things, cloth doesn't make much noise. So anyway, cycling through these, I hit the wrong, damn it, didn't mean to do that. Cycling through with Control N, you see the node numbers, and you'll see just a numeric representation, which is not the same thing as this. Then you'll see a different color of the same thing with the numeric representation, which I don't know what that number is for. Then you get the weight, 0.1 kilogram. That's what's determined here. Now you can, like, you know, real paper airplanes have little paper clips sometimes in the front. You could simulate that by saying, for example, this node here at the end, which is AR12. You can take that node weight, copy it, and find it in here. Paste that and give that a different value. But just remember, everything after this is going to follow that value. So if you want to just have that one follow that one value, then you have to do something like that and change that back to whatever the others are supposed to be. Or you could copy that out of here to your clipboard like this, put it in its own little space, and then remove it from here. Like this. And just name that one the weight. That's up to you, however you're going to do that. Just remember, if you have anything else under here, maybe there's a group B or group C because you got 2 or 3 other objects. Well, they're going to all follow this, so just remember you got to redeclare all this stuff if you want it to be different than this, including friction. And there are a lot of other things that can go here. As with the beams, there are countless other things that can go in there for different things to do different things. But we're going to try to keep this simple. Alright. Save file, reload, home, and this time when I cycle through, you'll see that one little node's got a different weight than the others. 0.3 kilogram. Oh yeah, I was in the middle of making more beams. So that one to that one. You know what? That one I want to make stronger. I don't want it to bend at all or be less prone to bending. So that one that connects the front of the plane to the back, that one I'm going to make that one stronger. Let's see. Maybe these corners here, or at least the ones in the front anyway, A22 to A1. We'll put a beam also. We'll make that one not as strong. You can have too much glue on something and not move enough. So be A1 to A22. I guess I'll just leave the back. Now I want to do another support. This time I'm going to do AR19 to shit, it starts to get confusing. Which one's the top? Which one's on the bottom? Alright, AR18 to AR3. Alright, let's try it and see what we get. Alright. You see it, don't you? You see that? Multiple structural failures. If I made an airplane, you wouldn't want to fly on it. That's for sure. Alright, so that is that. A11 to A18. A11 to A18 should support that flap from folding over. A11, or is that AL1? It's A11. A11 to AR17. On the other side, A11 to AR5. A11 to AR5. flaps on the top are folding over. So that's AL0. And I'll make that connect to that one. Or, no, to that one. AL0 to AL6. Yeah, AL6 to AL0. See when it's reset. AL0 to AL6. Then AL16 to AL21. Increase the drag considerable amount. And these, what in the world? Need to increase them springs or reduce the drag. Let's try a little less drag. Let's just do a small amount and see what the difference is going to be. stronger. That beam, we just make all these stronger. Let's see. That one node that we made heavier, we're going to make it lighter. Or we'll make the rest of the plane heavier. That'll probably be, we'll make it lighter, so it has less tendency to pull down. Let's see if that fixes it. Increase the drag. I'm just guessing here. Well, it does fly straight down.